Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So we're reacting a little bit more to some of the things that Stephen A. Smith said on Gil's Arena. He was up there making up stuff about Kobe Bryant, saying that, LeBron would never let the situation get bad as it did with Kobe at the end of his tenure with the Lakers, forgetting to point out the fact that the guy tore his Achilles tendon, for God's sake, then ruptured his rotator cuff on his shoulder, for goodness sake, and was playing with a bunch of nobodies. Meanwhile, when LeBron got to the team and he got to play with that same Kobe Bryant team, they missed the playoffs. Like, I'm lost with this guy. He forgot the fact that the Lakers had 3 top 75 guys, 4 Hall of Famers, and he didn't even make the play-in tournament. But you want to talk about what Kobe Bryant would have did in all of this. I thought that was a pretty cheap shot. But Stephen A. Smith is one of the people that believes that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Now, he has LeBron James number 2, and a lot of people do. I'm not one of the people that does. And many of us have always wondered why, right? But in this particular sound, he was basically making an argument for Jordan's greatness, why Jordan should remain the GOAT, and LeBron James, frankly, should not be viewed as being greater than Michael Jordan. And as he was making this point, he decided to go back to the series that pretty much ended it for a lot of people when it came to this GOAT debate, and that was the 2011 NBA Finals series, where LeBron James was, I don't even know what to say. He was absolutely terrible. And I saw those finals. It was absolutely disgraceful. And Stephen A. Smith was essentially saying here that, look, that finals pretty much ended the GOAT debate between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So what I want to do now is I want to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety. And then I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to his comments here.
And then you see somebody like yourself, you know, his age is 0, and then you dropping 60 on somebody. That shit matters. And so you think about those moments, and then you go back to LeBron and his greatness, and you say, yeah, it's there, it's legit. But we do remember the finals against the Mavs. Mm-hmm. We do remember that you struggled in the fourth quarter of 4 consecutive games. We do remember that J.J. Barea and Jason Terry were guarding your ass, and you didn't do something about it.
2 excellent defenders.
Well, no. So I'm just saying that you look at something like that, that don't stop you from being number 2, but it'll stop you from being number 1 because you know what Jordan would have done because Jordan did it. So those kind of things, again, it's all debatable in people's eyes, but not to me when it comes to Jordan. And then they say, well, why not Kobe, with Jordan? I said, because Kobe idolized, and practically it was the greatest imitation of Michael Jordan we may have ever seen in terms of style, right? Still came up 1 title short. Still got beat up in the NBA Finals twice. You remember that. And so it's like, you're up there, you're great, but who you aspired to be, you never caught nor eclipsed. Mm-hmm. And that's how you look at it. So you come to the conclusions for a variety of reasons. But my thing is, I'm not disrespecting you. We're having a conversation about the greatest. You're in the conversation. There's no reason to feel disrespected. It's just a matter of whatever somebody's opinion is.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. He's basically saying that, look, that series put an end to all of this GOAT talk and all of that stuff. I would agree. For the simple reason that you can never point to a finals or a series where Michael Jordan fell apart like that, the way LeBron did. Especially given all of the trash talking that LeBron and these guys were doing prior to. You got to understand at that time, that Miami Heat team with those guys were absolutely obnoxious. Dwayne Wade, they were obnoxious. There was even a video where I think they said Dirk had a cold or a flu or something, and you had Dwayne Wade and LeBron James walking through the hallway, like doing fake cough sounds, making fun of Dirk. And they were just obnoxious with that parade that they did, talking about, not 1, not 2, not 3. It was disgusting. And the entire NBA world hated. The only people that supported the Miami Heat, that team, were the Miami Heat fans. That was it. Nobody in the NBA supported that team, and everybody wanted to see them lose because it was so arrogant about it. Why? Because they knew they had built a super team. They made the field uncompetitive. It was no longer a competition. They knew that they had ruined the competitive balance of the NBA. They knew this. They knew this. So when LeBron got to the finals, it was time for him to show up. And boy, did he not. It was bad. And maybe some of you don't realize, Dwayne Wade actually led that Miami Heat team in the playoffs in scoring. It wasn't LeBron. It was Dwayne Wade. LeBron legitimately cost Dwayne Wade a champion. He cost him a championship. We talk about that J.R. Smith blunder that he had. That was LeBron in the whole final. He was like one big J.R. Smith. A 6'8" J.R. Smith in all of those games. It was terrible. They was sunning that dude, bro. Jason Terry, Sean Marion, they was sunning him. I was watching it. Every time they were scoring him, they would call him a B. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, yo, this is disgusting. They damn near harmed him during that fight. It was crazy. So at the end of those finals, people that were like, okay, is this going to be a real thing? Is this going to be, when they saw that, they're like, this is a joke, bro. This is a joke. This never happened to Michael Jordan in the finals. This is a joke. It was the biggest collapse of a superstar in an NBA finals ever. And I don't think we've seen anything like that since. Given the stakes, given the trash talking, it was horrendous. So that's why a lot of us sit back and look at these twerking ass LeBron fans who'll be pouring honey. Oh, by the way, LeBron fans, we got the special jar of honey back for you guys. We got it back. This is what they want. This is what they fight for. This is what they live for. They're like a bunch of blood-sucking vampires, but instead of blood, they suck honey. This is what they want. They were hollering and screaming, oh, LeBron to go, LeBron to go. Forgetting the fact that we saw son get his ass whiz-zapped in the finals. Bro, we saw that. And we're not going to unsee it. Now, maybe some of these younger fans who don't know nothing, they didn't know that, but we saw it, bro. Yeah, I know LeBron been playing for a millennia now, but we saw that. And we're not going to unsee it. And they're trying to, oh, it doesn't matter. Nah, it matters. It matters. You go out there and play like that, son, it matters. Jeff Teague is back at it again, man. This dude is back at it with these antics. This dude is like, if you're not careful, you're going to turn into like the Nick Wright of independent media, right? He recently got himself in some trouble after he said that LeBron James was using steroids. Then he had to walk it back and act like as if everybody was stupid when he said exactly like, y'all were like, yo, son, you said it. It's like, dog, you said it. I ain't say it. Your man next to you ain't say it. You said it. Matter of fact, you was arguing with him like, nah, bro, I was there, bro. I was there. And then turned around the next day was like, I don't know. What did I say? What did I say? You know what happened? He got a call and they hit him over the head with a bucket of honey. And then all of a sudden his memory got fogged up. He's like, I don't know what they hit him with the Men in Black. Except it was like a honey stick. And they smacked him with it. And he forgot everything that he said the day before, right? So Jeff Teague be out here trolling, man. So I'm going through the internet this morning and I come across an article from Basketball Network. And the headline already let me know that we was in for some buffoonery. And it said, Mike couldn't do that. Jeff Teague says LeBron is better than Michael Jordan because he made, oh my God, this guy. Because he made his teammates better. So folks, this is the nonsense that we have to address today. So let's get into this nonsense of what Jeff Teague had to say. This dude just out here trolling people, man. He goes, the article goes, former Atlanta Hawks all-star guard Jeff Teague threw shade at Michael Jordan while praising LeBron James. Teague and his Cubs 520 podcast crew were discussing Austin Rivers' recent comments about LeBron doesn't have half the bag that Kevin Durant has. In doing so, the discussion went from James' ability to elevate the level of play of his teammates. According to Teague, that ability separates LeBron from Durant and Michael Jordan, who many consider the greatest basketball player of all time. I think that's what makes him so great, is that he can elevate teams, he said. That's what made Chris Paul special. Chris Paul, who never won anything. That's what made LeBron very special. It's a rare few people who can do just that, who can just do that. Even Mike couldn't do that. Bron went to the finals with Larry Hughes and as his next best player. Teague did not elaborate about LeBron, but it's no secret that he took a ragtag Cleveland Cavaliers team to the 2007 NBA Finals. And then the article goes on to say a whole bunch of other nonsense over there. So what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts about this? Jeff Teague is out here trolling people, bro. This is the new hustle. What I figured out is, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a celebrity. I'm going to say ridiculous things. then people are going to react to me. And then my ridiculous things get amplified, and therefore I gain a huge fight. This is what Jeff Teague is doing. This is exactly what he's doing. So Jeff Teague is saying that he elevated the games of his teammates. Okay, that's so. So what about the games of players like Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Kevin Love, and Anthony Davis? What about their games? Let's look at Chris Bosh for a second. Okay, what were Chris Bosh's stats before he became a Miami Heat, and then after he came a Miami? Well, before he became a Miami Heat, he was a 20-10 guy. Matter of fact, the year before he became a Miami Heat, he averaged 24 points, 1 block per game, 2.4 assists, 10.8 rebounds on 80% shooting from the free throw line, 36% shooting from 3, and 51% shooting from the floor. The very next year, or every year that he played with LeBron James, he never even averaged 19 points per game. He averaged 18.7, 18.6. Chris Bosh was essentially relegated to becoming a jump shooter. And he became the scapegoat, him and Mario Chalmers, for the woes of that team. Let's look at another guy. Let's look at Kevin Love, right? Another one of LeBron's teammates that he made better. Let's see how Kevin Love's numbers were looking like before he played with LeBron James. I don't know. The year before he became a Cleveland Cavalier, he averaged 26 points per game, 0.5 blocks, 0.8 steals per game, 4.4 assists, 12.5 rebounds on 82% shooting from the free throw line, 37.6% shooting from the 3, and almost 46% shooting from the field. The very next year he joined LeBron, 16, 16, 19, 17, and that was the end of it, and ended up becoming one of the biggest scapegoats in the NBA. Do we need to go any further? I mean, we have more examples of this. The fact of the matter is, when great players play with LeBron, their numbers suffer tremendously. They have to modify their games, alter their playing styles just to accommodate this guy. Why? Because he only has one particular style of playing. So him playing with the big man is a problem because he constantly needs to attack the basket. So therefore, the big men need to create spacing. Therefore, they need to step out and they need to modify their games just to be teammates with this guy. So he's elevating their teammates while their numbers and their play is suffering. Now, let's look at Michael Jordan. You see, here's the fundamental difference. When LeBron plays with these top-level guys, not only do their games suffer, their reputation takes a hit. A significant hit, which this fellow is not even mentioning. But in the case of Michael Jordan played with role players and turned them into household names. We still remember some of those Chicago Bulls because they played with Michael Jordan. We still talk about Scottie Pippen because he played with Michael Jordan. For the very reason. And Scottie Pippen is always talked about in a great light in terms of him being a player. The fundamental difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan's teammates, Michael Jordan in terms of teammates, is that MJ held his teammates accountable. LeBron James allowed his teammates to become scapegoats. That is the fundamental difference. MJ will hold you accountable. LeBron will be passive aggressive, and then whenever it's time for blame to come, he would hide from it and let all of his teammates get the brunt of the blame. This is the fundamental difference. The fundamental difference. So, if LeBron is able to make players better, why couldn't he win more, Mr. Teague? Why couldn't he win more? Because the guy that you're saying doesn't have the ability to elevate his teammates the way LeBron did, won more with less. Let me give you guys the breakdown. Michael Jordan won 6 NBA titles, playing with 3 top 75 players and 4 Hall of Famers. Some of you are like, 3 top 75 players? Yes. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Robert Parrish, who he played with for 1 season. Now, the 4 Hall of Famers are Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman, and Robert Parrish. Meanwhile, LeBron James has played with 5 top 75 guys, 5 of them, Ray Allen, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal. He's played with 12 Hall of Famers, and counting. Because AD hasn't even made it in. Luka Doncic hasn't even made it in yet. So if LeBron is able to elevate his teammates at a higher level than LeBron than Michael Jordan, why isn't he won more? Do you know what they're gonna say? He doesn't have enough help. But what? Excuse me, what? You can never take these guys seriously. That's just something that's repeated through the annals of the NBA. Oh, LeBron makes this. Really? So where are the results of this? Oh, he played with on bad team. Didn't Michael Jordan? Okay. Do you understand that Michael Jordan played on a team with players like Juan Dixon, Leitner, Jahadi White, I think Larry Hughes, and a few others. He won more, Tyronn Lue. He won more games with that team than LeBron James won with Carmelo Anthony, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and a few. He won more games than that team. That Wizards team won 37 games. A team full of Hall of Famers with LeBron won 33. So you talk about his ability to make his teammates better, Mr. Teague. Why wasn't it on display there? Why? I don't know, man. Because I just said it because I know a lot of my followers be dumb as hell and they don't do no research and they don't know nothing. So I thought I'll just say it and then that'll be that. And we just gonna get it over on y'all. And if I call them out and I'll be like, yo, you lying? Oh, Dreamers Pro hating. Son, y'all be lying like it's a sport. Y'all be lying. Y'all professional liars, man. Y'all should open up a league. You probably win MVP. Oh my goodness, bro. Like, can't y'all just say stuff that's based in reality? Man, you know, Michael Jordan could never do that. Really? Really? Really, cuzzo? How come you won more with less? I came across this story here. It was just kind of like a last minute thing from Awful Announcing that was centered on some comments that Skip Bayless made during a sit down he did with Sage Steele. Now, I was unaware that Sage Steele had a show, had a podcast, but the episode is called The Other Side of Skip Bayless, and they shot this show less than a week ago. And they touched on a bunch of different things, okay? They touched on, you know, his time at ESPN, his relationship with Shannon Sharp, his love for sports, the GOAT debate, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron. They spoke about a plethora of things. But this particular article was highlighting something that, I mean, I was aware of, but I didn't understand how it would, how this thing would manifest itself on a day-to-day basis. But essentially what Skip was doing was, he was explaining the time when he was working at ESPN on ESPN First Take and working with Stephen A. Smith, who he had a lot of great success with. And he was describing the day-to-day process of doing the show. Like, for example, he said that Stephen A. Smith didn't like the prep. He liked to do it more, and they were talking about how they were trying to teach him how to prep, all of these different things. So he then spoke about how Stephen A. Smith used to kind of, what used to inform a lot of the things that he said on television. And he was basically saying that Stephen A. Smith would check his phone during commercial breaks or whatever to see what people were saying about him on ESPN. And if people were then saying negative things about him, he would then modify his position during the next segment and then try to win that debate based off of the internet reaction from people while the show was going on. And I'm like, this is very interesting because this points to a very big problem that I've noticed taking place in sports media today. So what we want to do is we're going to play what Skip Bayless had to say. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Skip's comments here.
You can't teach chemistry. It's
right.
You just can't. And I was so blessed to have Stephen A. and Shannon. You cannot imagine, because it's hard to find that chemistry and that connection across the table on live TV. It's you know this because you sat in between it occasionally and you're watching it from a distance, but also you could see it in operation up close where, yeah, I prepped hard. Shannon prepped hard. Stephen A. not so much, but prep got in the way for him. And when Jamie Horowitz took over the show and we brought in Stephen A. full time, they would try to prep him. Think about this. You need some ammunition. Fight back with a couple of numbers. You don't need to stat them to death because that's boring. But occasionally, there's one killer stat that I would usually have that he needed to figure out how to counter with what's the flip of that stat? What do you need to defeat it? And so they were trying to teach Stephen A. to fight fire with fire more than he would, but he just fought fire with gift of gab, and it's just a
volume
blessing and volume, but he's good. He can just talk and sometimes, if in the few times that he would go first, it was hard on him because you would just watch his brain working on live TV where he's just rambling for a while, and then you can see the eureka of, oh, wait, I got my point now. I got a point. And boom, boom, and I'm like, thank you. You finally got there. Now we can go, right? And yet I prepped hard, but I wasn't an actor. So as God is my witness, I couldn't stand to watch myself back. I never watch. I don't know if you
that
did in your early anchor
you.
days I never watched it because I feared if I watched it back that I'd think, I should have rolled my eyes more there, or I should have raised my voice more. And now you're acting. You're actually, it's like you're trying to script it out. And the beauty of it was utterly unscripted. And sometimes we ran the show off the rails, obviously, because you do have to take these breaks. But more with Stephen A. than Shannon, it might go someplace that I certainly couldn't predict, but I was prepared to go anywhere he wants to go. And I would tell him, just let it fly, man. I'll be with you. And the beauty of those two partnerships is you have to trust each other beyond what you might even think, because you can't push each other over the cliff. And as I always said about from the early days of First Take, no punches pulled, but none thrown. You can't get to the point where you get mad and want to throw punches. Sometimes Shannon and I would get mad at each other. Sometimes Stephen A. and I would get mad. And I'd say, boy, you woke up on the wrong side of bed today. Because he would just, but his problem was in the early days of Twitter, and I don't know if he still does it, but he would just, in the breaks, he would just read his phone. I don't know. He just read the responses. And if he read one response that said, you just got your ass kicked, like on live national TV, then we'd come out of break and go into the next one, and he would be in this surly, foul mood. And I'd say, what are you doing? It's not that big a deal. It's okay. Yeah. Let it go. It's okay. I mean, I would say that to him on the air because it would be clear.
It was obvious.
Somebody had pushed his button, and it's always just one guy on Twitter. And I know I was a victim in the first year of Twitter. I would read my mentions, ats, whatever.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you heard what Skip Bayless had to say. Now, let me tell you why this is an issue. The reason that this is an issue is because I can now understand this kind of hot take nature that sports has turned into. This sports has now been turned into like a spectacle. It's no longer about the substance. It's about who can say the craziest thing on TV that will gain the most attention, that will get people to be outraged. For example, Stephen A. Smith recently made headlines after he said that Giannis Antetokounmpo's time in Milwaukee is a failure. And I think on that show, they had Jay Williams on there who called him out to his face. Like, bro, this is insanity. But because Stephen A. Smith and others have become so used to having these kind of hot takes, he actually was trying to defend his point, which is insane. Because if you look at where Giannis started in his career, Giannis started as a guy that was averaging 7 points, 7.6, 7.5 points as a rookie. Yes. He then developed to being in the conversation for the best player of the NBA for the last 8 years, winning multiple, I think, MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVPs, winning a championship for the Bucks. And Stephen A. Smith looks at all of that and goes, oh, that's a failure. Why? Because we're in the hot take era. This is the reason why you see a lot of people that go up on ESPN First Take and say crazy things. This is the reason why you can have a guy like Nick Wright go out there and say, hey, man, I'm going to do my top 50 players in the last 50 years in the NBA, and I'm going to rank Michael Jordan number 3. I'm going to rank Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number 2, and I'm going to put LeBron James number. They're doing that because they know the reaction is going to get on social media. Look at what just happened recently with the Bleacher Report list. That list was created to create controversy and have people pissed off. So it's no longer about creating things that make sense, where sports fans can look at it and say, okay, this is a pretty good list. I can understand here. I may not agree with this position or that, but you now say, oh, Kobe Bryant's no longer a top 10 player. And then try to back it up with a straight face. Because they're doing this because of the reaction that it will get. People will be talking. Whether it's good or not, it doesn't matter. And Colin Cowherd said it once. He said, there is a lot of money in being wrong. You would think conventional wisdom would tell you, okay, I want to say things that make sense, that are coherent. If I'm talking sports, I want to appeal to people's common sense. But in today's day and age, it's no longer about that. It's all about what can I say to piss people off? Who can I clickbait or rage bait is the best way to describe it. Say things that get people pissed off and they're engaging with you. They're not engaging with you because they agree with you. They're not engaging with you because they like you. They were engaging with you because they disagree with you and what you're saying is insane. But that's become the new model. And this is what happens when you're solely relying upon what people say on the internet. Now, to be fair, did I used to read the comments a lot in the past? Yes, I did. But it wouldn't inform the content I'm making. It wouldn't. As a matter of fact, sometimes I sit back and say to myself, well, why do so many people like our channel? Why do so many people tune in on a daily basis? People are tuning in 4 million times a month to watch our content. Why is that? And then sometimes I have to sit back. I say, Charles, don't pay too much attention to it. Do you know why? Because if you start trying to overanalyze that, you'll start performing. Instead, just be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Don't worry about what this guy said, that this guy said that. Be true to who you are. And Skip is saying that this guy would literally read what people are saying on social media. That's the reason why he said Max wasn't connecting with people out there, because of what people were saying on social media. Even though the show was doing fantastically well, it wasn't connecting. So you can have a guy on there like Shannon Sharp who's good at what he does, but if I can go on here and make a spectacle and say crazy stuff like, oh, LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, if it's getting ratings and people are watching, even though they disagree, the vast majority of it, that's good content. When in reality, from a basketball standpoint, it's nonsense. It is total nonsense. Nick Wright went up there. His most viral moment to this day, go search it up on YouTube, his most viewed video was when he came out there in 2016 and said LeBron James passed Michael Jordan. Crazy stuff. But it got him a lot of engagement. A lot of people tuned in. That's how he made his name, off of some foolishness. And this is the problem with this. This is the problem with it. We like, there has to be a limit to this. Nobody's even trying to make sense no more. It's like, what can I say? What's the most ridiculous thing that I can do and say to get people clicking? How can I grift? How can I grift? And that's what people are trying to do. And they don't just do it in sports. They do it in politics as well. People grift all day long. All day long. Grifting. People selling their asses on the internet. Their asses, their races, everything for some moolah. They will say anything. Any asinine, embarrassing thing to make some money these days. And they all know who they are. Selling their families, their race, their heritage, just to be a damn fool because they know it's going to make money. This is where we are in the game. And I just refuse to be a part of that. There's a lot of money out there, bro, but I don't need it. I don't need every dollar of it. I'm going to leave it to the rest of them, man. I'll leave it to the rest of them that are willing to sit up there and twerk it up and holler and scream. Somebody came to my church, oh, man, why does everything you say about LeBron, if you did more positive stuff about LeBron, then maybe things would be, so you want me to sit up here and lie? Nah, they got a lot of people out there that'll lie to you. I don't need it. I don't care that much. Stephen A. Smith recently made a lot of news because he recently did a visit on Gil's Arenas podcast, right? He was on there talking about his career, talking about the state of affairs in the NBA and his issues with LeBron James, blah, 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 blah. But then they got to the point where they were talking about this kind of GOAT debate and who deserves to be in the GOAT debate. And inevitably, the person that was brought up was Kobe Bryant. And Gilbert Arenas brought up Kobe in this particular segment. And Stephen A. Smith, although there are videos out there of him begging Kobe Bryant to accept the Michael Jordan comparisons, we did a video about this before we went on break, he now seems to get irritated whenever they bring up Kobe Bryant in the GOAT debate. So I was very keen to hear why he believes that Kobe, should be behind Jordan and especially LeBron James. So as Stephen A. Smith began to talk, as I'm listening to him, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, yo, this dude is out here just straight up making up fantasy. It's like Final Fantasy with this dude and making up things that never really happened and telling stories about Kobe Bryant that weren't true. Like, oh, the Lakers were suffering with Kobe and this and this. And I'm like, what is this guy even talking about? So for those of you who didn't get a chance to listen to what he had to say, want to play what he had to say for you now, and then want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say there.
What is the criteria that media is being used or
I don't know.
using?
I think that's a legitimate question, and I don't think there's one definitive answer to that, to be in fairness to you. And I think that one of the great things about this podcast is that no matter how we feel, when y'all open y'all mouth and y'all start talking basketball, and I got to give Kenyon love for this too, because Kenyon's always been a serious brother. He means what he says, and he says what he means. And even if he's wrong, it comes from an edified place. He ain't speaking ignorantly. He's making points. It's just that sometimes you agree or you don't agree with him. But he's a rough rider, and I got mad respect for him. I think it's important to understand that when we look at Jordan, for example, we look at 6 finals, 6 MVPs, unblemished in that championship round, never allowing a Game 7 to take place. We've seen in one pressurized moment after another where he answered the call. Mm-hmm. We look at Kobe. He's a 5-time champion. And you have a lot of people out there that put him ahead of LeBron because of that. I think Kobe was a killer, God rest his soul. The brother he'd be somebody that he'd give it to you. Mm-hmm. And not to say that he didn't play defense, because obviously, in his prime, he was an elite defender. The flip side to it, however, is that when you're playing with Shaq and the rest of the crew, and then ultimately Gasol and Bynum and the rest of the crew, you had a crew. When you struggled, you really, really struggled. Mm-hmm. That was never LeBron. See, when you look at LeBron took that team to the finals, and then you get swept by San Antonio. But you saw what he did. Right. Everywhere he's been, teams have elevated. Mm-hmm. So you can't take that away from him because he's 6'9", he's 260, because he could play inside and out, because he can be, lethal in the open court, because he could step things up defensively, because of so many things that he brought to his arsenal, and how he would create mismatches, which I think is one of the things that he's done better than most. You look at him along with the 4 championships and what have you, and you say you can't take that away from him, because as bad as the Lakers were as they descended, right, in Kobe's final few years there, would that have ever happened with LeBron? The answer is no. With LeBron James, no team would have been as bad as the Lakers were at one point. So you take that into consideration as well. You think about all of those things. And then you look at a Bill Russell, for example. Yeah, different time, 11 championships, 13 years, you get all of that. But in the same breath, he was a defender and a rebounder, but far from an offensive juggernaut. You look at a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, arguably the most unstoppable big man in the history of basketball. But I'm looking at your number one nemesis, which was Bill Russell, and he outnumbered you 11-2 in titles. Plus, you had quit in an NBA Finals game in the eyes of a lot of spectators. So you got that going on. I'm looking at Jerry West, God rest his soul, the silhouette, where you won 1 title in 9 tries. You see what I'm saying? I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Tim Duncan, the 5 titles. Yeah, but it was Popovich. Yeah, you Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and the crew. But you know what? You got the Lakers a couple of times. They got you a few times. Not quite the same. The Diesel, Shaq, dominant. But a big man that played bully ball but struggled at the free throw line with 52% shooting from the free throw line, et cetera, et cetera. You got those things. There's so many different things that go at. Tracy McGrady was big time. T-Mac was no joke. But you got the title when it didn't matter. When you were in your prime, certainly Grant Hill getting hurt didn't help in Orlando. It's not your fault. We know that you had those requisite skills. But what will forever be held against them was not only the absence of titles, but you were up 3-1 on Detroit. And basically said the series was over. And Chauncey and them brothers came back on you. I'm just saying. I'm not talking about, I'm not saying it was his fault. I'm saying his words before the series was over. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent. So you heard what he said. Now, there's something interesting I want you guys to pay attention to. In that sound, you could basically hear Stephen A. Smith pointing out all of the flaws and all of the shortcomings and all of these great players, and then basically didn't even do that for LeBron James. But let's get to some of the issues I took with him. This guy said that towards the tail end of Kobe's career, the Lakers were struggling. This is a fact. And that would have never happened on LeBron James's watch. And the most important information he forgot to leave out was, number one, the last year Kobe was healthy with the Lakers, they made the playoffs. That was the year Kobe gave that guarantee. When they had Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, Paul Gasol, they made the playoffs that year, and he tore his Achilles tendon in the process of them making the play. So that's the first thing. He left out the fact that Kobe had an Achilles tear, and he was playing with a bunch of nobodies for the final few years of his career. That's the first part. But he made it seem like, well, that would have never happened on LeBron's watch. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Because when LeBron got to the Lakers, his very first season, they missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs. What are we even talking about right now? They missed the playoffs. Then the next year, the offseason, whatever, they acquired Anthony Davis, and then I think they won the championship that year. Then the next year, they went out in the first round. Then I think the next year, they acquired Russell Westbrook, and they won 33 games. You're talking about ineptitude when Kobe was there. They won 33 games with 4 Hall of Famers on that roster. 3 top 75 guys on that roster. What are we even talking about? When did Kobe miss the playoffs with 3 Hall of Famers on his team? 2 Hall of Famers. When did that ever happen? And he was healthy. When did that ever happen? But if you listen to Stephen A. Smith, you're like, well, the one thing you say with Kobe, with LeBron, LeBron would never let it get to that point. When that's exactly what happened. Do you forget that they won 33 games? To put that into context, Jordan's Wizards won more games than that Laker team did. Then they got bounced out in the first round and in the first round while playing with Anthony Davis, who's better than Paul Gasol. There's no question about that. Anthony Davis is a superior player than Powell. Hence the reason he's a top 75 guy. But minus the list, if you look at AD and you look at Powell, you can clearly see who's better. He's stronger, he's faster, he's more athletic, he's a better offensive player, he's a better defensive player. Like, what are we talking about here? So when Kobe was missing the playoffs, he was playing with rookies and like Julius Randle and these guys. He wasn't playing with seasoned guys that they were arguing whether or not they're the better player between them and Giannis like they were doing with Anthony Davis. What are we talking about here? And then the part that kills me in all of that is he then goes on to list this guy's flaw, Jerry West's flaw. He's like, well, Jerry West is a great guy, but he didn't make it to the finals. He only made it to the finals. He only won a championship. He made it, 9 times, but he only won 1 championship. But then you then put a guy in the GOAT conversation and say he's behind Jordan when he lost 6 times in the finals and Kobe lost twice. So it seems like Stephen A. Smith doesn't even have a criteria. His criteria was just pretty much all over the place. And my thing is, why do you have to lie to help LeBron? Just help him with the facts of his career. You don't have to leave out key information about other players to make your point. And that's what I felt like the guy was doing there. He was literally trying to diminish Kobe and rewrite his history to make LeBron seem greater. LeBron would never let that happen on the Lakers' watch. What? What? Have you not been following the Lakers for the last 7 years? They won 1 title. They missed the playoffs, 1 time, and it got bounced out of the first round the remainder of the time. What are we talking about here?